At the risk of sounding inconsistent, I am sorry that Rishi Sunak's AI conference at Bletchley Park was eclipsed or smothered by the presence of Kamala Harris and by the ghost of Biden. Biden had issued an executive order compelling AI companies whose models could threaten US national security to share how they are ensuring the safety of their tools and to set up a sort of movement to try and police artificial intelligence. And Kamala Harris, the vice president, said at the press conference that she gave in Bletchley Park, "Let us be clear." You always worry when someone said, "Let us be clear." You expect the sort of puppet-like hands of Liz Truss or the overwhelming spectacle of Kwasi Kwarteng's prodigious package. But anyway, let us be clear. When it comes to AI, says Kamala, America is a global leader, not the global leader, a global leader. Yes, of course. It is American companies. Now she goes on. It is American companies defying the absence of the definite article. Now, it is American companies that lead the world in AI innovation. It is America that can catalyze global action and build global consensus in a way that no other country can. Well, she may be right. She may be right. It's a sort of land grab by America of Rishi Sunak's desperate Klingon attempt to be important. But and it was probably inevitable. That's why Biden didn't turn up himself. You know, it's either going to be America or China, and the thought that Rishi Sunak said me is really a little bit desperate. But to do it at the place where the modern computer began, I think, is rather noble and rather impressive, and I hope it works. But attracting Elon Musk, I suppose, was a coup. It's not quite enough, though, is it? It's not quite enough. Elon Musk's own company, XAI, that had also called for a moratorium on developing more advanced AI systems. But in the end, you can't stop progress. In the end, you've got to embrace progress and understand what is going on. So, in fact, Musk's idea that this should be a conference where people pool information before doing sort of knee-jerk rule making. We can't make rules for AI that are constrained by some sort of national border. AI will get beyond national border, as indeed the internet. So the idea of the internet security, the cyber security efforts by the present government, these are madness. These are madness, because all you have to do is get a VPN and the whole thing is sidelined. Utter madness. This, I suppose it would be possible to blitz entire areas and stop people having signals. I mean, we've gone some of that way already. If you try and get a signal in the railway station, it's going to be blocked. But and airports. Quite often you have blocked signals in particular spaces, but I can understand that for security reasons, but at the same time, you can't do that across the whole swathe of the United Kingdom or across the US. And in the end, this won't work. In the end, we've got to find a way of dealing with cybersecurity, which I think should be in the form of education and a best practice, in the same way as we have best practice that controls literature, best practice that controls television and cinema. And there are some rules, of course, but for the most part, it's best practice. And I think that's probably the best way of dealing with artificial intelligence. Learning more and teaching people at the earliest stage to be careful, and that is the way to guarantee cybersecurity. And learning, by the way, is not simply a matter of learning slogans. I asked some students this morning what they routinely learned, quite young students, and they said, "Oh, we learn what our homework is for the next week." And I thought that's not quite the answer I was expecting or looking for. And yet all of the students I was asking routinely learn musical instruments. They spend a lot of time committing pieces of music to heart. And yet not. It took a good 10 minutes before that idea came out. And the idea of learning pieces of poetry or pages from Shakespeare, that seems to have dwindled into the collective ether of indifference. I'm so sorry.